know how many texts you guys get a day, okay? But if it's anything like me, it may be 60, 70 texts a day. And if so, maybe 5 of them or 6 of them are from people that we really want to communicate with. And for none of them really, except for I'm running a little late, I'm going to meet you in 15 minutes. I just broke down in the car. None of them really need to get answered right away. However, if you're anything like me, and I imagine you are, there's a compulsive part of this that says it needs to be either deleted right away, answered right away, or in some other way, whatever I'm doing is no longer what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is being reactive to the phone and reactive to this kind of new digital life that we've all been thrown into. I speak sometimes to young people, and I carry around with me sometimes these, I don't have it right now, like coins from like the 1960s, early 1960s, the one that are still, they were silver. Everything before 1964 was silver, and I'll show them, I'll even give them and I'll show it to them, and they're transfixed. And talk a little bit about the way things used to be when we were young. We're getting to be the old timers now. And for people that are brought up in this new millennium and that are brought up in this constant moving, constant doing, constant having to answer, they're really, they know on a level, and they're hungry. They're hungry for it. And I think we can see that in how many sites are evolving on meditation, how many programs there are about learning how to slow down. I went to a meeting several years ago, an AA meeting, and I make it known I'm in AA. And I was in San Francisco, and I'm a writer, I'm an artist, besides a conventional businessman. And I said, I want to go to a meeting in Haight-Ashbury, from that time. So I looked on the web, and I saw there was a meeting called Writers and Artists Group in Haight-Ashbury, and I said, I gotta go. That's where I gotta go. And I went to the meeting, and the meeting was filled with young people in their 20s and in their 30s. And they were there looking for some kind of spiritual body-mind solution beyond what the standard textbook name, rank, serial number of recovery is. Like you got to be drinking out of a brown paper bag, and you have to be lying in the street, and you have to be homeless. These were people who were cognizant, aware, and hungry. And the young fellow who was speaking, he spoke for about 20 minutes, and I remember a few of the things that he said. And he said he felt like he could never exhale. And that just like, oh my God, that's it. He felt like he was always walking around with a bag of gas ready to explode and never able to calm down. So what does that have to do with recovery? What does that have to do with alcoholism? What does that have to do with addiction? I maintain that this new world that we're in now has laid bare, like an uninsulated copper wire, has laid bare the addictive tendencies of humans to such a degree that it is impossible to ignore. It's impossible to ignore. It's impossible not to see it. So what this little program that I've put together, when I say I've had people that have helped me by being members, and I work with doctors of Oriental medicine, luminaries in Qigong, a lot of people that were fundamental in the recovery program going back from the 1940s. What I put together is this little program called Recovering the Way, which is a mix of getting our bodies and our minds used to the fact that, well, this is what happens to people. There's an old saying, chasing a fugitive with a drum, that these addictive tendencies are part of what it is to be human. And there's a paradigm that's out there called the 12-step paradigm, which works for alcoholics, works for addicted people. And we morph that along with these slow, gentle movements of Qigong and put together a little bit of scientific information. And I got to tell you something, the young people, they are so keyed in to the science. They are so keyed in, they're aware of these things called neurotransmitters, neuropeptides, the sympathetic nervous system. These kids are real smart. So what we're going to do here today, and we've done this for some time, and I thank you for listening to me just explain the rationale for this, and actually the rationale, and I'll just kind of end with this. I was not in recovery for a bunch of years and then said, hey, you know something? If I combine the aspects of the 12 steps along with Qigong, I think that that's something people might be able to heal from. That's not the way that it happened. It happened because this was the path that I walked. This was that I came into recovery, and then I reconnected with Qigong and Oriental medicine, and I began to see early on in myself that this was a stereoscopic view of healing, and that it addressed both the addictive compulsive parts of us and also the escorting the body out of this drumming, and also the two of them, both the recovery paradigm and Qigong, both of those stress a non-definable, ineffable oneness of higher power that we cleave to, and it is of our own conception. And we have a very, very simple modality in Qigong called the yin-yang paradigm, which is on the vine, sitting there, higher power, ready for anyone to grab onto, and it is non-denominational. And we're going to use that today. So thanks for listening. And we're going to go through some of the basic beginnings and movements that we do in recovering the way. And if you've done the IIQTC and that sort of thing, you will notice a great similarity. So we're going to stand up, and if you want to stay seated, you can. And rest. In Chinese medicine, there's a method of diagnosis and treatment called San Bao. San Bao means three treasures. San Bao, yang, above, energy, movement. Yin, earth, docility, quiet. And then the mix of the two, which is called qi, called jing, qi, shan. And in Qigong, what we do is we align ourselves between the three. So what we're going to do is get a comfortable stance on the floor. It doesn't have to be not too far open because we're going to be widening it, not too far closed. So find the Goldilocks kind of place for yourself. And check in with your hands and put down the remnants of the cell phone. Put it down. With me, I can, in my mind's eye, I can see myself, and don't do this, but I can see myself here, like this, with a phone. Head cocked forward, looking at it, eyes focused, hands gripped, and I spend a lot of time that way. So what I want you to do is just notice that propensity and put it down. So relax the fingers, put the phone down, relax the shoulders. They're starting to give paper bags again in supermarkets. And, in the old days, you'd walk out with a paper bag under your arm like this, hiked under your arm, and put the paper bags down. Put the bags down. Put the phone down. Sense the floor under the feet. And we're going to do that little exercise that we do of starting to get this feeling of qi moving. And what we're going to do is let your hands come forward a little bit. Okay, the hands are going to face forward. And now just adjust your feet. Okay, adjust your feet a little wider. We're not doing an official opening. What we're doing is just getting ourselves ready to practice. This is called aligning. And we're going to bring our hands up in front of us to about mid-chest height and then let them come down. And when they come behind, we're going to bring them up again the same way. And there's really only one way we can do that. So hands coming forward, up, turning around and going down. So in speaking about this combination of yin and yang, earth, heaven, matter, energy, one way to look at it is that they are a process, not things. They are a process of one becoming the other. And the way that we can notice that in our lives is through noticing that in the morning, the sun comes up. Notice the sun coming up. Around midday, it starts to come down. The breath. The breath is also not a thing, it is a process. And noticing the breath coming in. And then noticing the breath coming out. So why do I need to, and why should I say and point out to us that, well, the breath is a process in and out, and the sun comes up and down. It's like, well, Dan, yeah. Well, when I am stuck in my day, and I'm stuck in that movement of checking the text, and I'm stuck in the response, and I'm stuck in the do, I forget that there is a stop. And notice what the texture of the stop feels like at the bottom. Check in with your breath. Is your breath following the movement? And I'm not saying that it should. This may be going too slow. And if you want to speed it up for your own, you can do that. So in Oriental medicine, it is said that in order for one to heal, all that needs happen is that the pathogen be removed. And one of the principal causes of disease in Oriental medicine is called stagnation. Another one is deficiency. So stagnation can be when we're at the top and all of that pressure is on, And then deficiency can be when we're so tapped out, all that we do is collapse. So the noticing that there is a way for this to balance is key. And here it is the observer, each of us in our own body, noticing what does it feel like to start to have a sense of flow. And I'll tell you that for me, when I start to have this sense of flow again, I go, oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot. So this is not that we are learning something again for the first time. I'm not teaching you anything that you are learning for the first time. I am reminding you that this is part of our lifeline. Great. Imagine now that as you come up and then down, you could breathe in through the belly. And we've done this before. For those that haven't, imagine that your breath would be coming in right up through the legs, through the feet, into the belly first. So you get a big diaphragm breath, and then as you exhale, imagine that the air comes right out through the hands. And for those of us that have played with Qigong for some time, we will begin to evoke that feeling. We're going to do this just a few more times. And see if you are starting to have some of the gas come out of the bag. In recovery, they talk about taking an inventory, which is like taking stock and noticing ourselves. And what we're going to do in Qigong here is I want you to bring your hands up in front. Bring your hands up. Now you can be seated or standing. Right now you can stand or you can sit. Either one is fine. Either one is fine. Okay? And what I want you to do is just let your hands kind of go and glide by each other. Now, they can be palm to palm, or front to back. And see if you notice some sort of sensation, some sort of feeling, which they would call, in the Chinese would call this as a manifestation of qi. And for those of us that have been doing Qigong for some time, well, we can really get that thing going without too much work. So spend a little time just getting it going. And what we're going to do here is we're going to come up the wrist a little bit. So we're going to come up the wrist to about halfway up the forearm and then back down. And just up and down. Now, you may feel, you may not, but if you've been doing this for some time, and even if you've only done it a few times, you may start to feel a little bit of something. It might feel like a pressure. It might feel like heat. Okay? And if we are noticing this, what we can do is come up the medial side. Okay, the medial side, like if you notice between the ring finger and the pinky, start between the ring finger and the pinky and come halfway up and then bend down again. Okay, and then go between the third and fourth finger. Okay, between the third and fourth finger coming up through the palm and then the center of the wrist. Spend a little time and then down. And then between the forefinger and then coming down. I will tell you that these are the three main acupuncture channels in Oriental medicine in the upper body of the yin, three main yin. So, you can just, I'm going to call them out. You don't have to watch me. Between the forefinger and the middle finger. Come up, halfway up, and down. Okay? And we're going to do that again. Up and down. Okay. Down. Great. And then between the middle finger and fourth finger, up and down, up and down, and then between the fourth finger and the pinky, up and down. So I'm going to call these out. Between the fourth finger, ring finger, and the pinky, up and down, is the heart channel in Oriental medicine. And the heart channel runs in the medial aspect, up near the elbow, and then down. Then we have between the middle finger and ring finger, it is called the pericardium channel. And the Oriental medicine, the pericardium is actually, which is the shroud, the tissue encasing the heart, is called its own organ. And then between the forefinger, and actually between the forefinger and near the thumb is called the lung channel. So we're going to go now to the other hand. We're going to do the same thing. And we're going to start between the pinky and the ring finger. And you may not feel anything. You may. And it's perfectly normal and perfectly okay. This is like learning to play a violin. Okay? This is like learning to sense the energy, and it is the observing. It's the observing that makes the change. So noticing, that's the heart channel. The next one is the pericardium channel. And the next one is the lung channel. Now, what we can try is, as we do this, let's try breathing in as we come up, and then out as we go down. Then going back now to the pericardium channel, breathing in and breathing out. So I heard in meditation that there's two main pitfalls. One of them is distraction. And distraction is, we're all over the place. We can't really, we can't concentrate. We try to sit, we try to do something, and our mind is just like all over the place. Okay? That's one pitfall. Another pitfall, and this is from The Secret of the Golden Flower, says that there's two main pitfalls. One is distraction, and the other one is oblivion. And when I first read that, I was genuinely surprised, on the border of being shocked. I thought oblivion was the whole point. I mean, as one that's in recovery, that's what we're after, right? It's oblivion, right? No, it's not. So distraction is not the one. It's not what we're looking for. Neither is oblivion. What we're looking for is a sense of centeredness. And in Qigong, the thinking mind does not go away. Let's just get that over with. This is not an exercise in thoughtlessness. The cognitive mind in Qigong is vitally aware. The cognitive mind in Qigong is keenly focused, but it is focusing on what is going on inside. And there's an intuitive part of all of us talking about this, and this is finding a connection to a higher power. There's an intuitive part in all of us that understands such things as balance, harmony, okay, flow, tempo. Okay, these are terms that can be used in as musical terms. They're also terms that can be used in engineering. They're terms that can be used in spirituality. So to ask, how am I to understand what good harmony is? That is, remember in the beginning I said, I'm not here to teach you anything. I am here to remind you of what it is that you already have. And it's through distraction that we lose our way. And it's through oblivion that we give up. So these little exercises can bring us back to owning ourselves. Breathe in. I spoke before about breathing in through the belly and guiding the breath the same way, I'm not going to go into it now, the same way that there are yin channels in the arms, there are yin channels in the legs, and there are spleen, liver, kidney. I'm just going to leave it there for now. Putting our fingers together, we're going to breathe in and imagine the breath is coming right up through into the belly. And then what we're going to do is bring our hands around to the outside and push down. And these are the yang channels. So we're going to prime a pump here. And then again, breathe in, breath coming into the belly first, chest. And then push. So this is called, what we're doing with our fingers is called a bird's beak. You know, it looks almost like a bird's beak. And then it's the push. So what we have here is a combination of effort that we're pulling in, and then we flatten the hand and we push out, push down. And imagine the breath is being guided by the hands. And we're going to breathe in and wish ourselves well, wish ourselves harmony, wish ourselves balance, and then we're going to push down. And just notice, what does that do as we wish ourselves well? And then we're going to come up a little higher to around the navel. Spread that chi, push down. And then come up, wishing ourselves health, vitality, happiness, and push down. You know, all those things spoke about harmony, flow, balance, wellness. Breathe in again, up to the middle of the sternum, health and wellness and happiness. In acupuncture, there's points in the center of the sternum that can be needled, and it's called unbinding the chest. Unbinding the tightness in the chest, coming up now toward the collarbone, wishing ourselves well, health, happiness. You're getting a little more in the zone. Coming now up to the Adam's apple, or to the larynx, as it were, and down. We are filling the reservoir here. Coming up to the cleft in the palate. Smoothing the chi, pushing down the aberrant. Pushing the aberrant down, collecting the clear. The wonderful elixir now to the third eye. Seeing ourselves happy, balanced, well. Push down. Coming now to the top of the head, right at the very top of the head, pushing, almost ready to overflow, push down. Now, coming all the way up from the perineum, through the middle of us to the top of the head, and just rolling down like honey all over us. Wellness, balance, wisdom. And now doing it again. And it's going to go in 1,000 different directions. Like a big, big, big fountain of real happiness, balance, wellness, health. And we're going to do it again. And we're going to imagine somebody that we love is now under this big umbrella, this big fountain with us. And they're here, and we can wish them health, wish them happiness, and see their wonderful smiling face here. And how does that make us feel when we are sharing that with somebody that we love? And now we're going to do it again. And we're going to choose somebody. Maybe it was a waiter in a restaurant, somebody we passed in a coffee shop, total stranger, and they're going to be under this with us. And we're going to share with them all of this bounty, this wonderful bounty that we have. How does that make us feel? And now we're going to choose somebody that we really don't like. And maybe somebody we really have problems with. And we're going to have them under this big umbrella with us and 1,000 different directions. And notice what happens. You may be going, well, I'll be damned. That was so unique, I'm going to do that again because I can't believe it. There's somebody I really don't like, and I'm having them, wishing them well, and I'm seeing them smile, and it's making me feel great. Oh my God. Let our hands come down and just ponder that for a minute. Drop the tailbone. We're going to stop working for a minute.